Diet breaks are a short period during a fat loss phase where you bring your calories back up to maintenance. They help give you more energy, allow you to enjoy more food and reduce your hunger, and they help support your hormones and metabolism so you can keep making progress and avoid burning out. In this video, I'm going to show you when to take a diet break, what to do with your calories and activity, how long they should last, and the biggest mistakes most people make. So as far as when to take a diet break, what I used to say was you wait until you either hit a plateau or your body's starting to show some warning signs that it's starting to break down, you have less energy, you're much more hungry than usual, motivation drops significantly, and just really overall don't feel very good. At this point, I don't recommend that as much. It's not that you can't, but I much prefer to take them on a more frequent basis to help avoid getting to that point, because it's kind of like, why wait until you feel like hot garbage if you can get in front of it? And I find by taking them more frequently, you're able to keep the process working better for longer because your body doesn't adapt quite as fast as it thinks it has more calories, and it lets down its guard against fat loss. So what I typically recommend is to take them every roughly 4 to 6 weeks or so. If you have a lot of weight to lose, you can take them less frequently. You can do like every 8 to 10 weeks or so. You can't really take them too frequently. The more often you do them, the more it's going to help your overall process. So don't be scared of them. I'll talk more about that later. But another thing you do as well is kind of try to time them around times in your life where it makes the most sense. For instance, do you have some sort of a vacation coming up? Some sort of event where you could use some more calories for a while? Why not plan a diet break where you get to eat more during those times and just make it make more sense? Now, as far as what to do with your calories, remember, you're going back to roughly maintenance here, but don't get so caught up in that feeling like it has to be this like absolutely perfect number. The point is, you want to eat some more calories for a while. You're not going to undo all your hard work. You're not going to just all of a sudden gain all this extra body fat. So while I typically say somewhere between about 300 to 500 calories more, but you can do more or less depending on how things are going. If you're losing weight pretty fast, you can absolutely do more. You can always use the 3,500 calories for 1 pound of fat equation. For instance, if you're losing 1 pound per week on average, 500 calories times 7 days is 3,500, and that would work out pretty well. So if you're losing 2 pounds, it could actually be more like 1,000. Also, quick side note, unlike in reverse dieting where you're typically more gradually increasing your calories, in a diet break, you're not doing that. You're just bringing up your average daily calories right away. Now, you don't have to eat the exact same calories every single day. You can go up or down a bit, just making sure your average for the week works out. But it's not like a reverse diet. You're just going straight back to maintenance. Now, as far as your macronutrient breakdown, typically you just kind of keep your protein the same. I would argue that there's more benefit to more carbs during this phase than there is fat. It's what's going to help more with your energy levels. Don't get overly caught up in it, especially if you're not some sort of like competitor or whatever, which most of my videos, or really all my videos, are not geared towards competitors and more just general lifestyle. So you can kind of interchange your carbs and fats however you want. It doesn't really matter too much, but not a bad idea to kind of shift a little bit more towards the carb side of things. Now, the third thing to look at is your activity, and you do want to adjust this. What you don't want to do is change your training. Your training stays pretty much the same regardless of if you're in a cut, in a build, in a maintenance phase, in a diet break. Your training stays relatively the same. It's your calories and your cardio that you're going to adjust based on whether you're in a deficit, maintenance, or in a surplus. So I recommend dropping your cardio by about 30 to 50%. You can also reduce your steps some. I don't get overly caught up in this. So say for instance, you're averaging 10,000 steps per day. You could drop it down maybe to around like 7,000 to 8,000. But if you want to keep them up some, especially if it's just kind of like your everyday normal life and you're not intentionally trying to get a lot of steps in, don't stress out about it. The calories and more traditional forms of cardio is where you're going to make your bigger changes. Now that brings me to how long you should take your diet break for, and it's going to be at least 1 week, preferably 2, and it can absolutely be longer. The longer you're out of a deficit, the more your body's going to adapt to these higher calories, the more benefit you're going to get out of it, and the more likely you are for your body to respond well when you do go back into your deficit. Say for instance, you got the holiday season coming up, you're in a calorie deficit. What I do with a lot of clients is say, okay, let's break for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks, get through that holiday stretch with a nice long break, and then come back afterwards from an even better position. And I also recommend continuing your diet break if you so happen to continue to lose weight during your diet break. And this is actually probably more common than you think. So many people get so worried about gaining weight, but I actually find that that doesn't usually happen. Most of the time you kind of roughly maintain. Even if you gain a little bit of weight, it's almost all for sure going to be glycogen and water returning into your muscle. And let's just say, for instance, you go on a 2-week break and you lose a pound each week. Well, you're on higher calories and you're losing weight. Keep doing that until that eventually stops, then come back and go back to your lower calories again and kind of get the best of both worlds for a while. Okay, so that brings me to the common mistakes I see all the time. Make sure you don't skip this. You don't want to make these mistakes. And the first one is taking the term diet break a little too literal and just kind of having a free-for-all. If you just completely throw all caution to the wind in and stop tracking your intake and eat whatever you want, whatever quantities you want, that's how you're gonna gain a lot more than you want. But then on the flip side of that, sometimes people almost look at it as like optional, meaning if I'm more hungry, I'll eat the extra calories. If I'm not, then I won't. So say for instance, you were eating 1800 calories, you're gonna do 2200 calories for your diet break. Well, they'll just stick to their 1800 unless they're more hungry, then they'll eat 2200 and they end up going up and down and up and down and up and down. It's like nothing bad's gonna happen from that. It's nice to enjoy some extra food and stuff, but you're probably not gonna get much out of your diet break in terms of helping with things like hormones and metabolism, and you're just gonna miss out on a lot of the biggest benefit that comes from it. So you wanna keep those calories up and make sure you average that higher amount. So bottom line is, you wanna take it every bit as serious as your cutting phase. It's just, you're eating some extra food. The other mistake that's probably the most common mistake, you're looking at as like some sort of setback or delaying your progress, and it just could not be further from the truth. The thought of eating more when you're trying to lose body fat just seems so counterintuitive, and it can be scary. But remember, your body is gonna fight against fat loss, and the more weight you lose, the harder it's gonna get. And yes, you might be able to lose weight faster by not taking them in the beginning stages, but then eventually you're gonna get stuck sooner and lose less total weight, because when you take these diet breaks, you keep your body from fighting you quite as much, and the process keeps working better for longer. But you might be wondering, well, how many calories is too low? Because you know what? Sometimes you do have to get pretty low calorie to be able to continue to see progress. So to find out how to know if your calories are too low, then check out this video here next, and I'll walk you through it, and I'll see you in that other video.